morning, Skillman Church family. It's hard to believe that it's been 17 weeks since we met in person at the Skillman Church of Christ. 17 weeks is longer than most Dallas Cowboys seasons. In just another 17 weeks, it's going to almost be Thanksgiving. 17 weeks can be a long time. And during these past weeks, I know that there have been difficult days. But I hope, too, that there have been things along the way that have been a blessing to you. I know that in conversations that I've had with so many people at this church, that your prayer life has been given space and time to grow and flourish, and I'm so grateful for that. For others, I know that just having a few extra minutes to be on the phone or on a Zoom call with family and friends has been a blessing, and it's allowed for us to continue to have relationships as best as we are able to right now, in light of everything that's going on with the coronavirus pandemic. Speaking on behalf of our church staff and our elders here, I want you to know that through all of these ups and downs, it has been our commitment to be in prayer for this flock. We want you to know that even though we haven't seen many of you face to face, that you've been in our prayers and consistently on our minds. Not only that, but we are also committed to the spiritual and physical health of this church body. As this past month has shown, the coronavirus continues to be a daily reality in our community, in our city, and all across the world. In the coming weeks, it continues to be our commitment to try to make the best choice that we can to keep our congregation healthy, while also not giving in to a spirit of fear. As time continues to pass during this pandemic, and as we will continue to face this reality in the coming weeks and months, it's important to us that we also seek to address the spiritual and relational needs in our church. We know that the spiritual life of this community is just as important as our connection to God. When asked about the greatest command, Jesus couldn't help. He couldn't separate the command to love God and to love our neighbors. He kept them together. They were both critically important to him. And out of these two commandments, all of the other commandments in Scripture come forth. And the very way of living that we have is bound up in these two things, to love God and to love one another. In the coming weeks, we feel that it is important that we find new ways to connect with one another as a spiritual family in order to accomplish our goals of being followers of Jesus who live by faith, advocate hope, and who are known by our love. So we're excited to announce that starting on July 19th and in the subsequent days that week, that we're going to be making additions to this online service that we hope will help us to continue to grow in our relationships and connections with other members within this church family. That by doing this, that we will follow Jesus' lead in loving our neighbors just as we seek to love God. The first of these efforts will be a prayer service that will be held outdoors on our Skillman campus from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. every Sunday morning. This will be a time for fellowship, prayer, devotion, and to share in the Lord's Supper with one another. This service will be held weekly, but we will ask that everyone who would like to participate RSVP in advance, that you wear a face mask or face covering, bring your own chair or blanket or cushion to sit on, and maintain social distancing from one another so that we can help to keep each other healthy. I know that there are many of us who will be excited to be able to see other believers and to share some very important moments of worship together as well. And it'll be nice also just to get to say hello in person to one another. However, we also want you to know that these prayer gatherings are, of course, voluntary. We encourage each person and each family to decide whether this is something that you are comfortable in participating in or not. And then RSVP to let us know if you'll be there every week. In addition to that, we are also going to be adding 2 more virtual efforts that we hope will allow us to spend time connecting with one another as a body. On the first and third Sundays of every month, we will be hosting a fellowship hour on Zoom where John Mark and other members of our staff will lead us through guided conversations so that we can interact with one another and to be encouraged in the faith by other members of this church family. These meetings will be held from 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. on the first and third Sunday of every month, starting on July 19th. We will include a link to the Zoom call, and as well as dial-in telephone numbers, so that anybody who wants to participate will be able to do so on those Sundays before our online worship service together. And finally, the last effort that we are excited to announce is an additional Bible class experience also held on Zoom. Starting on July 21st, John Mark will be hosting a documentary club. And this documentary club will review documentaries during the week prior to that Zoom call on July 21st. And then during the call, we'll talk about the spiritual implications of the content that you just watched in that documentary. On Thursday, July 23rd, I'll be hosting another Zoom class, a Zoom discussion on the prophets as we continue to work through our sermon series on hope and justice in the book of Isaiah. We are so excited for all three of these opportunities, the prayer meeting at church at 8 a.m. on Sundays, the fellowship hour on the first and third Sundays of the month, as well as these additional Bible class experiences that will be held on Zoom. And we want you to know that there will be more information for each of these efforts in our Skillman Messenger email that goes out on Wednesday. We want each and every one of you to know that we are excited for this next couple of weeks and months here at Skillman. And while this is a situation that none of us could have dreamed would happen, that we know that God is in control and that our faith in God will not be shaken through this time. We're excited to be with you this morning and to be able to worship all over the city of Dallas. And we hope that as we prepare for that important day for us, July 19th, that you will join us in praying for these efforts, as well as deciding whether or not you and your family would like to participate with us.